Hi, I'm Mark Sipnick, Crocker Farm Auction. We have a great sale planned for you for March 23rd, and today I'm going to show you some great examples that will be selling in that sale. We're going to do a quick run through the cases and then head on in the other room. To start, we have these great Anna pigs. We actually have four very different Anna pigs. This is a great salt glaze example with St. Louis advertising and the date 1887 on it. Here's another piece that has wonderful Anna penmanship and the date 1882, also salt glazed. And then we also have a couple Albany slip glazed examples, including one that says Illinois Central Railroad on it that we have never seen before, also signed Anna and dated 1879. And another made for Peter Staff's Lakeshore Saloon. This one's a sow, which is an unusual gender for the pigs, and the size is fantastic as well. One of the largest pigs we've ever had. It says Peter Staff, proprietor, Lakeshore Saloon, and then Terre Haute, Indiana. It says the best wines and liquors and cigars constantly in, and points to the rear end of the pig. Classic Kirkpatrick humor. And then on the back it has this wonderful poem, "Think it not passing strange or unlawful, if within this hog you find the mountain dew or over joyful, use but don't abuse the liquid of this pork." Very cool piece. Here's a great Anna-related object, a snake jug teeming with snakes. I think there's something like 13 snakes on this, and this is not a Kirkpatrick piece, but obviously done in the Anna style. A very nice shoe fly jug. Unusual to find it in this good condition. It says the original package right there. And it has some chipping on the skirt, but other than that, it's in nice shape. These are typically found with significant damage to the skirt. One of the highlights of the sale is this incredible high water flask, so called because of the inscription on the underside. But you can see it has this beautiful chip carving all over it, almost reminiscent of reptile scales. And on the front, it's incised little brown jug. On the reverse, we have a rhyming couplet that says, "No handicraft can with our art compare. We make our pots of what we potters are." And then it has a biblical reference, "At last it biteth like a serpent," which is a reference to alcohol consumption. On the underside, there's this great punny slogan that says, "The potter said to the clay, beware," as in be stoneware. And that's something you also see on George Orr's pieces, who we know was influenced by the work of the Kirkpatrick brothers. This is called the high water flask because it's inscribed high water on the underside. You can see it's signed by the Kirkpatrick brothers, Anna Pottery, February 23rd, 1884. And high water refers to around that time there was a breaching of the Ohio River that was historically significant and noted in a lot of period documents. This is really a wonderful piece. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the best pieces of Anna pottery we've ever had. Decoratively speaking, it's fantastic with all this carving all over it. The size is great. You can see it's this large, handsome flask form. Condition's immaculate. And these inscriptions are just exceptionally rare. And they really describe the role of the potter, whether it was a potter during the 19th century that was trying to achieve skill in that art, like the Kirkpatrick brothers, or even a potter today. The idea that you're making something both beautiful and useful. And the idea that you're a creator. You take something that's meager, like clay or dirt, turn it into something wonderful like this. So a really wonderful piece. We also have a couple great little Cushman jars. This one with a long coggled signature, Paul Cushman's Stoneware Factory, 1809. These, of course, were made in Albany, New York. And then this one, Paul Cushman's Stoneware Factory, 1811. Great sizes, desirable signatures on there. One of the other highlights in the sale is this fantastic face jug. This is one of the very best pieces of southern pottery we've ever handled. You can see it's closely related to two face jugs, actually, in Great Noble Jar. This one, the iconic Joe Kirksey face jug, that's in size Joe Kirksey, that's in the High Museum, and as well as another one, which is, I believe, in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston right now, previously the Schenck Collection. It has this fantastic harvest jug form, the spout applied in the rear. So they would throw this dome-shaped form, let it set a little bit, and throw a spout and apply that. And it has this wonderful face. And you can actually see the face is a little more refined than what is known from this same school or maker that's represented in Baldwin's book. You can see that there's exceptional, very, very nice carving to the nose. The eyes are done a little bit better, and it has this very nicely flattened, you can see how he's created the face here by flattening the clay. This flattened surface creating the cheeks that kind of bulge out at the sides. And then he's actually taken his finger or tool and rubbed a line of demarcation between the forehead and the body of the jug. The teeth, in comparison to the Kirksey example, are a little more refined. You can see that these are done fairly delicately. This is a little more haphazard. So my guess is this Kirksey example is possibly an earlier work. This example in the back that's in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, might be an earlier work. But this piece, the modeling on this is exceptional. And the sculptor actually took it a step further and put this wonderful twisted mustache extending off the mouth, which really takes the cake. A wonderful piece. You can see on the bottom where this piece was dipped in its alkaline glaze, and it left the potter's finger marks. And there's some other kiln residue around the edge there. Condition on this is immaculate. It has just a few minor chips on the ears. As far as an Edgefield face jug goes, given the size, the form, the beautiful green glaze, the condition, the fact that we have a mustached face, which is only known in a few other examples, this is really about as good as it gets. And the High Museum actually has a wonderful large jar or umbrella stand, a cylindrical piece that has an applied face with a very similar Fu Manchu style mustache that extends just like this off the corners of the mouth. We're very excited to offer this in our sale. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and new discoveries like this don't come along very often. We have a nice selection of North Carolina stoneware, a David Hartzog jug. This might be a little hard to see in the catalog, so I'll see if we can get it here. The DH mark at the base. Related to an example at Mazda. We also have some Fox family stoneware jugs, a great Alamance County Redware dish with beautiful 3-color slip decoration all around it. I counted up these different spots and strokes. It's over 200, I believe. Central tulip plant design, really beautiful piece. Another Redware bowl attributed to Henry Watkins from North Carolina. And this is closely related to an example that's currently on display in the Mariner Gallery at Mazda. Have some nice Baltimore pieces as well. We always try to have some nice local Baltimore pieces. Here's a great little Baltimore pitcher. A very nice Morgan and Amos or William Morgan slip trail pitcher. A wonderful David Parr Sr. inkwell with profuse decoration, one of two that we've seen. Moving on to the next case, we have an excellent selection of Manhattan stoneware. headlined by this wonderful flask. You can see how this flask is closely related to the iconic Elizabeth Crane punch bowl with this distinctive flowering vine design. These openwork, floral or apple shaped and sized motifs are also depicted on this flask, but in a less refined manner. They're filled in cobalt because the design is so small. But you can see it's the same hand, and we've seen a few other pieces by this same hand. Some of them are very important. This flask is incised Peter Matchett, 1812. It was made only a year after this punch bowl, which of course is signed or incised Elizabeth Crane and then dated May 22nd, 1811. This picture's from the iconic book American Radiance of the Asmarian collection, and now it's currently in the collection of the American Folk Art Museum in New York City. This is widely considered the greatest piece of American stoneware known, and so we're very privileged to be offering a piece that was by the same hand. Another presentation piece by that hand that I felt like we really needed to mention is on the cover of Adam Weitzman's wonderful book, Art for the People, which highlights his fabulous collection that spanned over 30 years of collecting, that's held at the New York State Museum in Albany. And this bird flask has an early 19th century date and has HE right there, and on the reverse, it's inscribed Henry Edison. So there's a small body of work of fabulous presentation pieces, of which this wonderful, delicate, small donut-shaped flask belongs. We have a couple very early pieces of Manhattan stoneware that we'll be selling. One is this chatter-decorated jug. And this came out of a very old New Jersey collection, and when I saw it there, I immediately recognized the chattering marks as something I had seen in Mita Janowitz's article about the African American burial ground in New York City, which the excavation of that site revealed tons of shards from the Crolius and Remy's potteries on Potbaker's Hill. And you can see this example, this shard has almost identical chattering marks. And this sort of manipulation and heavy incising and decorating of the surface is all related to the Western wall tradition. This jug has a particularly early spout construction, as you can see, just a couple tooled lines at the top. And it probably dates somewhere between 1725 and 1750. So exceptionally early. We're talking about the cradle of civilization of blue decorated American stoneware as we know it. This mug was found in an old Massachusetts collection, and we believe it's Manhattan as well. Very crude construction. Again, links to the German style. Does not appear to have a salt glaze. If it does, it's incredibly sparse in spots. You see just how thin-walled it is. I mean, the clay looks clearly like the Amboy clay that the Crolius and Remy potters were using. And this decoration is a chinoiserie design based on flying bird motifs that you can find on Chinese export porcelain. Very cool thing. A nice selection of Western Pennsylvania stoneware, this great Hamilton and Jones, melding freehand decoration with stenciling, always popular. A nice selection of small jars and canners, including this unusual crown decorated jar. Excellent size. A nice tanware pitcher as well. Moving along, another piece that's pictured in Asmarian's book is this a related work. Moving over here is this tea canister. This is essentially the mate to the piece that was in Asmarian's collection that recently sold at Sotheby's. And it has the same date. See, part of it's obscured, but it was supposed to say TEA canister, made September 22nd, 1846. And I believe that's the same date as the example that's pictured in American Radiance that recently sold at Sotheby's. This was purchased by the consignor in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, sometime about 40 years ago. He contacted us with it in the fall, and of course we were very excited to see it. We have some great bell pottery. Of course, we love pieces by the Bells. They made so many exciting and different things. This is a beautiful green glazed ale mug with John Bell's early mark, I Bell. Has a white glazed interior and a copper glazed exterior. We have a beautiful, small, cobalt decorated stoneware pitcher signed John Bell Waynesboro. And by this distinctive brushwork, we know from some hand inscribed examples that this was made by John Bell's son, Charles Frederick Bell. Moving on, we have a very nice collection of Crawford County stoneware from Georgia, including this very folky coffee boiler that was dug on the homestead of Oscar Betcham. Great Betcham family piece, classic green alkaline glazed, great tapered form, unusual application of the handle on the side. Very sculptural piece, very cool. Also have some other Betcham family pieces, including this Columbus Jackson Betcham jug, which actually has his hand incised initials as opposed to the usual stamp that you'll see. This piece was recently discovered in the Midwest and is really an important example of Alabama pottery that we connected to a piece in Joey Brackner's definitive work on the subject, Alabama folk pottery. And it's stamped W. Jones. And according to Brackner's research, William Jones was probably African American, and he potted for a very short time around 1870. This is actually a variant of his maker's mark that you see here, but you can see exactly the same kind of lettering involved with the reversed N. Beautiful flask form with a handle. We have a nice selection of Lanier Metters face jugs. Of course, he's considered the most famous maker of face jugs in the 20th century, including this outstanding double face jug with rock teeth. Very cool piece, and there's his signature on the underside. Have an earlier Metters piece with kind of sad expression with depressed facial details reminiscent of Edgefield, South Carolina pieces of 100 years prior. There's his signature on the underside. We'll be offering a strong selection of Shenandoah Valley pottery, including this Solomon Bell inkwell. This is the only Strasbourg stoneware inkwell that I've seen. It's really modeled after glass examples of the period. You can see this classic purplish manganese slip applied over a white slip coated ground, and you can see just how heavy the slip coating is on the underside. But a very, very rare form. Very cool thing. We'll be offering a Rockingham County squat pot with an exceptionally early date on it. This one's inscribed plums. Normally you just see them with decoration or a fruit name on them. This example has a presentation inscription, which is very rare. It says Mrs. E. Moyers, November 19th, 1845. And 1845 is a very early date for these. This example was made by a member of the Kaufman family. We'll be selling some nice multi-glaze, including this beautiful little pitcher Great form, great size, great color. And we have some nice New Jersey offerings as well, including this Thomas More and Joshua Letts jug. And some rare Fulper pieces, including these presentation objects. Very cool. We have a lot of great Calvin Wilcox stoneware in this sale, and a lot of great Harrisburg stoneware in general. We'll be selling this very fine bird decorated piece. Unusual branch design around the bird and cobalt highlighted head, unusual features. A great John Young jug, stamped Harrisburg, PA, with elaborate slip work. And one of the icons of Harrisburg stoneware production is this T.H. Wilson jar with the Capitol stamp. This Capitol burned down, but that, in my opinion, is one of the coolest American stoneware stamps. Has the Pennsylvania State Capitol right on it, representing the town in which it was made. There's a great Calvin batter pail, 1.5 gallons, great wreath design on one side and a nesting bird and wreath on the back. Very unusual design, exceptionally rare on this form. One of the great stoneware miniatures that we've ever offered is this double-spouted smoking pipe. This sold at Christie's, the Paul Flack sale back in the late 90s. Has the initials HT on it. The underside, you can barely read it, but it says George T. Haig, and I believe the date's somewhere around 1885. Appears to be done in ink. Exceptionally rare form, great decoration. The kicker is, check this out. It's got its original lid. It fits on it. Really cute piece. We'll also be offering some New England Redware, including this very rare spittoon. Probably Bristol County. And these yellow slip numbered jars with 5840 on them. Moving along, we'll also be selling a couple great Norwalk plates, including this William and Mary example and this St. Edward example. We also have a nice selection of stoneware and redware smalls here. And over here, some other interesting objects, including some inkwells and some Stahl and Schofield pottery. This sale will have an exceptional selection of New York State, New England stoneware. One of the headliners is this large-sized water cooler inscribed Dr. Lewis Riggs, Homer, 1836. You can see it's also stamped MW at the top, indicating it was made by young Madison Woodruff, the famous Cortland, New York potter, in Homer, New York, before he established his famous Cortland shop, where he would do Goonie birds and cat faces and things like that. You can see the pottery signature on the back. Wonderful sculptural piece, monumental size, presentation objects with a link to an important potter. A really great piece. This West Troy pottery jug we believe is unique. It sports a federal eagle flying with a flag in his talons. Very cool folk art design. This churn has John Berger Jr.'s most iconic decoration on it. When we think of some of Berger Jr.'s best pieces, we think of his lions, carried on from an earlier Rochester tradition. Beautiful spotted lion. This was a new discovery. This piece Has a scarce mark on it, Fort Edward Pottery Company. You don't find it too often. It's decorated with a very large reclining dough design. Very nice piece. We also have two more eagles. One by Norton. A lot of people refer to this as their hawk design. We believe it's an eagle. And we have a William Warner eagle with banner. Very striking with all its spots and swirling slip-trailed strokes. We'll also be selling a great Charleston water cooler with beautiful bird and butterfly motifs flanking grapes. Very cool. When we think of Fort Edward stoneware, of course, there's tens of thousands of pieces still in existence. A lot of their designs become formulaic or standardized. This piece has a unique design, at least to our knowledge, with this oversized, boldly slip-trailed peacock. Very striking piece. Here's one of Calvin Boynton's masterpieces. This is another highlight of our sale. Stamped C. Boynton and Company, Troy, with an incised bird on it. Fabulous double-handled cooler form. Of course, Calvin Boynton's known for his influential early work in Albany, and then for his later career in Troy. We'll also be selling some other exceptional bird motifs. This Hudson, New York pottery with a pheasant on a stump covering much of the jug's front. This J&E Norton double pheasant. This crock of a crock, the play within the play as far as American stoneware is concerned. And this great ghost bird, another iconic design of New York State, hidden amongst this floral spray. From Western PA, we have this fabulous J. Little piece. This is one of the best Littell pieces we've ever seen. Wonderful stenciling, mixed with freehand stripes. Moving along, we have some more Georgia stoneware and some great Baltimore pieces, including a possibly unique Brotherton and Davidson filter, followed by a wine jug made in Herbertsville, New Jersey. Moving along, we have a great Kellogg bird on stump decoration. This piece is unique to us. I've never seen this design by Kellogg before, a desirable maker from Massachusetts. Also have some very nice Shenandoah Valley pieces over here on the shelf, including a Keister Strasburg, Virginia 2-gallon pitcher. As well as a pair of fantastic vases made at Winchester Potteries. And here's the other one. Very beautiful pieces, wonderful glaze, wonderful surface, exceptional size. Moving along into our entry room, we have one of the best pieces of Buffner stoneware we've ever offered. This is an advertising piece bearing a Buffner capacity mark. Distinctive R. Pete Pittsburgh advertising, which is known to have used Buffner as the maker of his ware. And exceptional striped work throughout. And then what really makes it are these birds, with these tails that almost are reminiscent of the Buffner tulip motifs. Just a great folk art object. To find figural decorated stoneware from Greensboro is exceptionally rare. Moving along on the plinths, we have the northeastern jug with a flying federal eagle with shield facing a bird on a branch. Very cool. A stately Albany, New York water cooler made about 1820 with large fish design, and a large size Jesse Bradford long spouted jar with double handles and his maker's mark on one handle and even the original lid. Moving over here, we have a Fort Edward bird crock with exceptional bird on stump design. Wonderful naturalistic scene all throughout the front of the crock. And over here, a fabulous bowl with profuse slip decoration. Pennsylvania origin. Early 19th century. A newly discovered Wilsons and Young from Harrisburg. I mentioned earlier about the wonderful Harrisburg pieces we have, and you can see this is the best Wilsons and Young that we've ever had. Very striking piece. And a Cowden Man in the Moon, one of the most well-known designs from central Pennsylvania. And just looking around the room, you can see here we have shelves full of other high-quality stoneware pieces that will be selling on March 23rd. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. We hope you've enjoyed it and I haven't bored you. And if you have any questions, you can call us at 410-472-2016 or email us at info@crockerfarm.com.